Okay, here's to hoping that there are no crazy noises in the background of this video. So today's review is about a book that I very recently finished, and by recently I mean about 3 hours ago now. It is called The Charity, and it is by the mother of one of my coworkers at school, by Connie Johnson Hambley, and it is a novel of suspense, as it says on the top, and tells the story of, as you can tell, one girl's journey into the heart of terrorism. Now, I've been reading this book since July of 2013, and it's taken me so long because it is incredibly dense and it's incredibly good. And I've had a lot of other books that have come up along the way that I had to sneak in whilst I was reading this one. But I kept coming back to this one. You'll notice I didn't give it up in my video about giving books up because it was incredibly fast-moving and intriguing. The Charity is a story of Jessica Wythe, who one day plays witness to the murder of the very last person in her family who can really protect her, and soon winds up being on the run from Kentucky to Massachusetts, around the country, to try and escape from this terrorist organization called The Charity that she learns is sort of after her family and after a whole lot more. So to sort of speak a little to the plot, this book starts in 1977 and runs all the way until 1996. It's set during that time, and as Jessica travels from place to place, trying to hide from the Charity, time goes by, she grows older, there are a lot of time jumps per chapter which are always marked with a place and a date, which I found to be particularly helpful because she jumps a lot from Massachusetts to Kentucky, and without these pieces in the beginning of the book showing the progression of time, I think it would have been very confusing. However, because it took me over a year to finish this, I would have actually liked to have a list of all of those places and all of those times that the story moved along, maybe in the front of the book, to just provide a bit of a cleaner, more up-to-date, compact version of where and when everything is happening. That being said, though, this book is a roller coaster. Once that first murder happens at the beginning, you are on a roller coaster that is not going to stop. Things keep happening. Life keeps playing out for Jessica, who is an incredibly strong female character, I might add. She is a very nice lead who annoyed me on many counts because she is incredibly headstrong and very, very stubborn, and I kept wanting to tell her what to do and she wouldn't listen, and at many points through the book I thought to myself, you should really be dead by now. And she wasn't. And I don't think that that's an author's choice of giving the character too many reprieves from death or anything like that. I don't think she was made into this kind of secretly superhuman character who kind of lives through anything. I think she is generally a very hardy, strong girl from a very headstrong background and grew up in a place where she needed to be that person, and it's worked with her all her life and it benefited her well. But oh my goodness, this girl just keeps going and going and going, and so she was a really nice female lead to see in a book. However, I did take a little bit of issue with the way that she speaks. There are 3 things you really have to be into if you want to enjoy this book. One is murder, the second is horse racing, and the third is terrorism. Jessica's family owns a horse racing farm team. I'm not really familiar with the jargon and don't know what the proper noun there is. But Jessica's family owns this farm and this team of horses, and they train them and they race them all over the country. And a lot of the time, when they are in the South, and when this book does take place in Kentucky and when Jessica goes there, the people speak very formally, which that might be a thing with Southern United States, and that's fine, but I felt that there were very few contractions in the dialogue, and I don't find that people speak that way. I don't find that people say, I do not have that, or I am not going to go to there, or I am not going to go there. People say I'm not going to go there, and given that some of the other dialogue, for instance, a lot of the people in Boston that had Boston accents, all of that dialogue was written out. The text was actually spelled phonetically in those accents, and when there were Irish folks in the book and they had brogues, their brogues were written out phonetically so that you could understand their accents too. And It was the same in a few cases with the Southern draws, but I'm not familiar. I haven't spent a lot of time in the Southern United States, so perhaps I'm sort of overreacting to the formalities with which they speak. But I felt that the dialogue was incredibly formal and just maybe could have been taken down a step or two so that would have been more relatable and more common. In terms of syntax, this book also has a lot of sort of legal jargon in it because the law enforcement and the United States justice system does step in at some point in the book. And as someone who has studied law for some time in university, it all made sense to me. But looking back on it while I was trying to put together thoughts for this review, the legal jargon in this book and the way that the law is laid out for the reader to understand are very well done. Anyone can really understand the process of going to trial and filing the documents necessary for that and getting and corroborating the necessary evidence. All of them are really well laid out here and just makes the prosecution of different folks and enemies in the book all that more easy to understand. One thing I was very confused about with this book is the cover. I sort of understand where it's going with the tattoos and the people, one of whom's head is cut off, but I think maybe a different cover that's more suited to the actual story. This cover was incredibly misleading when I had the book handed to me, and I know that the book is sort of still in process of being further refined, and another edition I hear is coming out. But a different cover that is more suited to the plot might make for an easier transition for the reader. Overall, I give 4 out of 5 stars to The Charity. If there were to be a sequel, I would definitely read that, despite the fact that this sort of book would not be something I would pick up myself. I'm very glad I had the opportunity to read it, and I highly recommend it to anyone who is a fan of suspense novels or thriller novels. Also, if you are from Boston and have a deep, strong connection to your city, you also might enjoy this as well. I hope you all are having lovely weeks and lovely lives, and I'll see you very soon with another review.